Okay, I'm sending you live. Okay, you are live now, so you can start.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening. Uh, yesterday in our next session, in our last session, we have discussed about how to file TDS return. But unfortunately, there was some issue with the website, so I am unable to show you that how to upload uh, FU file. So today, first we will discuss how to upload FU file in the income tax portal. Then we will discuss for the remaining part of the TDS. Okay. Still there are some query. Sir, can you give a dummy PAN account number so that no, it is not possible. No, there is no dummy PAN number. Okay. So uh, I believe my screen is visible. This is the income tax portal, incometax.gov.in. Here we will log in. We are supposed to provide our user ID. Be careful. If you log in through by using PAN number as a user ID, then you are not able to file your TDS return. In that case, you are able to file your income tax return. However, for filing TDS return, it may be 24Q, it may be 26Q. You are supposed to use your 10 number as a user ID. I'm using my 10 number as a user ID. Continue. Need to provide the password. They are asking for registered DSC. We need to register my DSC using this registered DSC. Continue. I have downloaded a software called EM Signer. It is available in the income tax portal itself. Continue. We need to select the digital signature. This is the code of the provider. And this is the signature I need to use. Then provide the password of the digital signature. Then I signed it. Here. After login, you are supposed to go to e-file tab. Here in e-file, there is income tax form. We can use file income tax form. From here, we are supposed to, which form we are supposed to submit? We are submitting form number 26Q. We are we are supposed to select form number 26Q. If it is not available, if it is difficult to search it out, we are take the help of the search button. Type 26Q. Here it is. TDS deduction of tax at source form TDS. Quarterly TDS TCS return from 24Q, 26Q, 27Q and 27EQ. We are supposed to use this one. Let's get started. A small form would be there. Select the form. Which type of form I am supposed to furnish right now? We are supposed to file form number 26Q. Hence, we will use this form number 26Q. This is my 10 number. Financial year for which I am supposed to file this return. Say it is for financial year 24-25. Quarter, it was first, second, third quarter, depending on the period for which we are filing this return. Say I'm using it quarter 3. Is it regular or correction? This is the first time I'm filing my TDS return 26Q for this particular quarter. So I will use regular. If it is a revised return, rectification in the return, rectified return, then we will use correction. After that, we will attach FU file. Click attach file. I have downloaded generated a FU file. This type of file is called FVU file. We will select it. It would be obviously it is not supposed to be uploaded because it is for another person. Once it is attached properly, then we are supposed to use this proceed to e-verify. We will use this proceed to e-verify. Once proceed to e-verify button will be clicked, option for verification will be available. It may be using OTP. That means Aadhaar based OTP would be sent on your Aadhaar based mobile number, or you may verify your return by using digital signature, etc. That means after doing that, you will get a confirmation message, and then it will count as yes, TDS return has been filed by you. And further, if you want to view which how many your earlier TDS return filed by you, if you want to view, then instead of going to e-file income tax form, file income tax return, we will go to view filed form. Here it would be available in financial year. It was filed only for financial year 2021. Here the list would be there. How many form earlier you have filed? These list would be available over here. You can view them all. Okay, that is the process for filing, for uploading your TDS return, as well as verification of the TDS return. Is it clear to all? Is it clear to all? Any question, any query from this part? Anyone have any question, any query? Okay. Now, few more things we are required to learn from this. I'm log out from this one. Now we are supposed to understand how to generate TDS certificate, as well as how to, if suppose I need to rectify my return, in that case, what should be the process we are required to follow? In that case, we are supposed to visit this TDS portal, TDS Stresses portal. The URL address is the contents.tdscpc.gov.in. Here we are required to register or log in. Depending on if I am already registered, then leave it. Again, if I am already registered, then we are supposed to go to login. And then if I am not registered, then we will use this register as a new user. Say I am already registered in this mechanism, so I will use login. There are 3 type of login buttons are there. Two are important for us. Number 1 is director. Why you are you are logging in the system as a director or as a taxpayer. Say I want to, since I want to download certificate, I want to download consolidate file for corrections, etc. In that case, you are supposed to log in by using as a deductor. So I'm going to log in as a deductor. In that case, we are required to provide couple of information. User ID, my user ID. Then password. And then 10 number are also required. Then we are supposed to provide this CAPTCHA code. Then press login. This would be the interface where you are required to download your statements or certificate, etc. You are required to request for generating those things. How to do this one? Say these are the options where we can work. Statement status. Suppose earlier I have furnished any return. Whether the return are accepted by the department or not, we are required to, if you want to check that the status of that statement, TDS return statement, then you are required to click over here. If you want to request for consolidated file, this file is required for rectification. If you want to correct your detail in the TDS return after submitting that return, then you need that file, and you are required to send a request to the system to provide this file, and then you will download this file. Once it is generated, it is provided by the system. then you are required to download that file, and then only it is possible for you to file a revised return, or we can say corrected return. How to do this one? We are required to click this one, need to choose the financial year, etc. Say it would be 2021 quarter, it is fourth. Say which TDS return you are required consolidated file. After that, we are required to click go. Then we are required to authenticate whether we are the appropriate person or not. We are required to provide the detail like the AD number, the token number which we got at the time of filing our return. That number we are required to provide, as well as we are required to provide detail of a challan or detail of pay the PAN number which are already included in the return. We are required to provide three PAN number as well as amount of TDS deducted from them, the figure we are required, so that it would be confirmed, it would be authenticated by the system. Yes, you are requesting appropriate file for downloading. After filling this, we will proceed, and then after a couple of days, the file would be available with us, and we will download it from this download segment. Requested download, we will got this download transfer file from here. Since it is no file are requested, so it is not showing over here. That way we are, and further for form TDS certificate, that is form 16, that is if you furnished form number 26 Q or 26 EQ, we will required to provide TDS certificate in form number 16 to our deductee. So for downloading that one, we are required to use this form 16, and for form 16A, that is for salary. If you deducted TDS against salary, then you are required to provide the TDS certificate in form number 16A to your employee. For that, we are required to use this, this link to download those certificates. Is it clear to all how this will work? Now, one more thing. So I'm logged out from this system. Now, one more thing we are required to discuss how to file form number 24Q. 24Q. Why, when this is required, form number 24Q? 24Q is required when we are deducted TDS again. For this, I try to go to our software, which was downloaded yesterday in our last session. Here again, we will use this window batch file. Click over here. OK. Here, instead of using 26Q, we will use form number 24Q. We will select 24Q from this interface. Then whether it is a regular or correction already discussed, we will continue with the regular statement. Click to continue. Then initial part are similar to our form number 26Q, that is my 10 number, etc. We are required to provide name of the employer are required to provide, as well as name of the person responsible for filing this TDS return for deduction of tax. We are required to provide. After that, similarly, OK, first we are supposed to select the financial year. OK, I selected Q3, type of deductor. I am an individual HUF. Sorry, I'm making it as a company. Then we are required to provide 10 number. We are required to provide permanent account number. I hope it will work. We need to save it. Here it is. Then we are required to provide a detail of challan, just like exactly similar to form number 26Q. We are required to add rows. Say there is only a single challan. I need to add one row. Then we are required to provide the amount of the TDS deducted and paid through that challan. Say it was 15,000. There is no surcharge, etc. We are required to provide the BSR code. Date of deposit, say it is 31st. It is 31st December 2024. I have paid this money. Okay, there is issue with detail. I paid money on 31st December. I selected this one. Then challan serial number, say it is minor head. It is 200. That's all. After that, we need to add annexure one deductee detail, just like our earlier in form number 26Q, we have added. We will add number of rows which are required by us. Say there are two for two employees, I have deducted TDS. So I will select two. OK. Section number, it is 92A. Then we will select the amount of, just like our form number 26Q, we need to provide the PAN number. So I am providing PAN number of my employee. Name of the employee, say it is PM. Date, it is 31st December 2024. Again, there is issue with the date. Then amount paid by me, say it is 1 lakh salary I have paid. TDS from this person is 7,500. There is no surcharge. Date of deduction, it is on 5th December 2024. Reason, there is no lower TDS was made by me, so it was nil. Then for another, we are required to add one more deductee. Similarly, we will provide the PAN number. Again, here it is 1 lakh. Amount of TDS. That's all. We need to provide this information in TDS return. After that, we will generate the CSI file are required to be downloaded, required to be verified. Then we will generate FU file and need to upload this form, upload that FVU file to the income tax portal by using the same TAN number as a user ID in the incometax.gov.in. That is the process for furnishing 26Q as well as 24Q. However, in case of form number 24Q, if you want to file for quarter number 4, that means for last quarter, if you want to file form number 24Q, few more information you are required to provide. If we select 24Q for last quarter, few more information we are required to provide. In this case, look over the tab. There are few more tab are there. If I use form quarter 3, there are only 4 tab over there: form, challan, annexure 1, and other services of 10. If I use 1, 2, 3, then there is a tab are only 4. Look at here, top of the my screen: form, challan, annexure 1, and other services of 10. In case of 24Q, for first 3 quarter, there are lesser information we are required to provide. However, in case of fourth quarter, if I'm trying to furnish form number 24Q for fourth quarter, there are few more information we are required to provide while filing our TDS return form number 24Q. These information generally after inserting TDS, challan, etc. Say I'm adding one challan. One minute. So it is paid on 5th April 2024. Challan serial number is this. And it is for 200. After this, we are supposed to add deductee detail, or say it is for number single deductee. So I'm adding one deductee over here. Amount, it was say 5 lakh. TDS was say 5,000. There is no surcharge, etc. Date of deduction, it was on 31st March 2025. There is no lower TDS. Hence, after providing this information, which is common for first quarter 1 to quarter 3, we are required to add this annexure 2 detail. Here we are required to provide the entire information of my employee, like basic salary, like perquisite, etc., etc. For this, we are need to add this. How many employee we are adding? For say 1 employee, we need to provide this information to in the quarter 4 return. After providing all this information, then only we are able to generate a TDS return, that is FU version, and that are required to be uploaded in the income tax portal. Is it clear? That means for first 3 quarter, the TDS return for salary, that is form number 24Q, is more or less similar to form number 26Q. However, for last quarter, we are supposed to provide few more information in the system for the salary return. That means whether your employee has opted for a new regime or old regime, what is his gross salary, what is other deductions, ATC, ATD, etc. He is eligible. On the basis of those information furnished by you, form number 26, form number 24Q are required to be generated, need to be uploaded, and then a certificate in form number 16 would be available from the site. That means the entire salary certificate, which contain each and every detail of your salary, your other income reported by you to your employer, and your computation, your tax liability, your tax deduction, each and every information would be available in your form number 16A, form number 16. And that certificate are required while filing your ITR 1, 2, 3, 4. On considering the information given in that salary certificate, we are required to file our income tax return. That is form number 24Q. Is it clear to all? Anyone have any question? Please raise. Anyone have any question? Please raise. Again, I am repeating form number 26Q as well as form number 24Q for first 3 quarter filing process are more or less similar. However, for 24Q for last quarter, that is for quarter 4, we are required to add few more information in the separate annexer. We are required to provide the detailed salary computation. Then only we are able to file our TDS return. Is it done? Now, one more thing we are required to learn how to get a lower TDS certificate. What is that lower TDS certificate under section 197? Anyone have any idea what is it? Anyone have any idea what is lower TDS certificate? Lower TDS certificate. Sometime what happened? Sometime what happens? Suppose I'm a small SSE. My income is only say 3 lakh rupees per year. So ideally, I am not supposed to pay any tax. However, I'm getting interest from FD with ICICI Bank or some other person. Say I have interest income of rupees 2 lakh and some other income and aggregate total income is only 3 lakh. I'm not supposed to pay any tax on that 3 lakh rupees of income. However, what happened? On my interest on FD, the bank would deduct TDS. The bank or some other party, the commission from where I'm getting the commission or rent, etc. They will deduct TDS on that. And that money would be struck with the income tax department. And for getting that money back, I need to file my income tax return. I'm supposed to wait for 1 year to get the money back as a refund from the income tax department. Say in the month of May 2024, someone deducted TDS under section 194C against my income. Say 20,000 are deducted by some person, and my income structure is like that. I have only income of rupees 3 lakh. 20,000 was struck with the income tax department. To get that money back, I am supposed to wait for end of the financial year, end of the previous year. Then I need to file income tax return. In the income tax return, I'm supposed to claim my refund. I'm supposed to claim the TDS as a refund. And after processing that return, the income tax department will grant me a refund. Then only it is possible for me to get that money back. That means it will take more or less 1 year time to get my money back. It will be a burden for me. A small taxpayer, think about a small taxpayer, my working capital may be hampered. To solve this type of issue, there are 2 alternate options are given by the income tax system, income tax department, income tax law. Number 1 is provide 15G or 15H to the your deductor so that the deductor will not deduct any TDS from your payment. On the other hand, I can get a lower TDS certificate from the assessing officer. That means my assessing officer will certify that any payment when say Mr. X is supposed to pay any amount to me on that money, he will deduct TDS at lower rate. Say as per law, it is supposed to be deducted at the rate of 2%, but in that certificate, if it is mentioned, the deductor will deduct TDS at the rate of say 0.1% or at 0%. On the basis of that certificate, my deductor will deduct TDS at that rate provided in the certificate. That's how to get that certificate from the income tax department. We are supposed to discuss that one. For that, for getting that certificate, we need to apply for that certificate in form number 13. How to file that form number 13? We are going to discuss that one. Is it clear what is our target for today's session? How to file form number 13. what we are supposed to learn right now, how to file form number 13 with the income tax department to get a lower TDS or nil TDS certificate from the income tax assessing officer, from the income tax authority. One more thing, say I get a TDS, lower TDS certificate from income tax department from one of my for one of my director, say Mr. X. In the certificate, it is mentioned that Mr. X, whose PAN number or TAN number is this, if he is paying some money to me amounting to rupees 5 lakh, up to rupees 5 lakh, he will deduct TDS at the rate of say 0.1%. On the basis of that certificate, I cannot request with Mr. Y to deduct TDS at a lower rate. It is not like that. The person whose name appear in the certificate, to the extent of the amount mentioned in that certificate, the person whose name appeared in that certificate are eligible, are entitled to deduct TDS at lower rate. The other person, the other deductor, are not supposed to deduct TDS at lower rate, even though I have a lower TDS certificate. That means in the in this certificate, all of the deductor name should be appeared. That means while filing our form number 13, keep certain things in your mind, that the information should be correctly provided. If the name not appear, then it may happen that that deductor will not deduct TDS at lower rate. So carefully we are required to file form number 13. How we will file, I'm going to show you. For that, we are required to go with income tax, that is TRESS portal. This is the TRESS portal. I believe is appeared to all of you. tdscpc.gov.in. Here we are required to log in. Again, I'm repeating, here we will not log in as a deductor because we are not doing any function of as a deductor. Now we are working as a taxpayer. Now my role in this site is as a taxpayer, not as a deductor. If I want to file TDS return, if I want to generate TDS certificate, that means being a deductor, if I want to do anything, then we are supposed to log in as a deductor. However, in this case, I'm not a deductor, I'm a deductee, so that my TDS are required to be deducted at lower rate. In that case, we will not log in as a deductor in this site. We will log in as a taxpayer in this site. Is it clear? There are two different login credentials you have in this portal. As a deductor, that means you are a deductor, and for getting consolidated file, for generating TDS certificate, etc. In that case, you are supposed to log in this TDS CPC as a deductor. However, when I'm trying to obtain a lower TDS certificate, I'm supposed to file form number 13, etc. I will work as a taxpayer. I will log in the system as a taxpayer. There are two different login credentials we have. If you are not registered with the this TDS portal as a taxpayer, then we are supposed to log in, register ourselves as a taxpayer. I'm already registered, so I am going to use this login, then taxpayer. We are supposed to select user ID. My user ID is suppose my PAN number is my user ID. My password. And then need to provide. Is it F? Okay, there is some mistake. Hopefully it will work. Yes, it will. After logging as a taxpayer in this system, we are supposed to go with statement forms. Here we will request form number 13, 15C, 15D. We will go with this one, request form 13. My DSC is not registered. I want to proceed without DSC. What is my status? Whether I'm a resident, non-resident, or not ordinary resident, I am a resident person. These are the guidelines we are required to read. Proceed. Form number 13. It is an original request. I'm making it first time, so it is original for particular this financial year 24-25. Proceed. There is some info. Okay, already in progress. One more. Okay, here. I'm going to cancel this one. One minute. Now we can. Yeah. Whether I have information of my director like TAN number and amount he want to pay to me without deducting TDS or at a lower TDS, then I will go with this click. It is less than or equal to 50 line item or it is more than 50. If it is more than 50, I need to provide through an annexer. And if it is within 30, I need to choose this one. So here, this is the form 13. My status is individual. I'm a resident. This is my PAN number, my email address. This is my mobile number, etc. District, state. I am from West Bengal. And my district is Kolkata. Date of existing liability. If I have any existing liability for income tax, I need to declare that one. I do not have any existing liability, so I am using I am providing as a nil. Previous year to which payment relate? This is related to financial year 24-25 for which I'm applying for a lower TDS certificate. My estimated income is say only 3 lakh. So I need to provide this one. Total tax on this would be 0, or it may be say my income is only 6 lakh or 8 lakh. Then my TDS, my amount of tax are required to be given. In some time, what happened in case of say 194C in case of contract, sometime in this year, I have a good opportunity in business. Say my income for this year, for this particular year is say 12 lakh. However, I have brought forward losses of 5 to 10 lakh or 10 lakh or 12 lakh or 15 lakh. That means my income for this year would be 0. But deductor would not consider whatever loss incurred by me in earlier year. He will deduct TDS under section 194C at the rate of 2% or 1%. In that case, too, we are required to get this lower TDS certificate. So detail of income claimed to be exempt. There is no exempted income. I'm not claiming any exempted income. So I'm not required to pay any advanced tax, TDS, etc. If I required to pay and I paid, then we are required to provide the information of those payment. Declaration for exemption. I am not claiming any exemption under section 10, 11 or 12. Then I need to proceed. After that, we are required to provide whether I need lower TDS certificate or a nil TDS certificate. In case I need a lower TDS certificate, I am supposed to select annexer number 3. Then I need to provide those information, the name of the person, the TAN number, and the amount for which I'm getting that certificate, for which I'm applying for certificate. We need to add that one. Our income detail are also required to be attached, and then only after due verification by the assessing officer, he will grant me a TDS, lower TDS certificate. On the basis of that lower TDS certificate, my amount of TDS, my rate of TDS would be at lower rate or at a nil rate. That is the process. From this screen, I'm not able to show you how to make this application because it is a real-time website. It is not possible for me to generate this form right now. I believe a bird eye view you can get how to where to file form number 13 to get lower TDS or nil TDS certificate. Any question? Anyone have any query? Please ask. Someone is asking, Pawan is asking, it is similar to 15G or 15H. Yes, 15G where income is just like a fixed income you are getting. That means like interest, etc. Where whatever you are getting, that is the income in your hand. In that case, you can provide form number 15G or 15H to your deductor. On the basis of that 15G or 15H, your deductor will not deduct any TDS. Will not deduct any TDS on the basis of 15G or 15H. However, in case like contractor, where the money, whatever money I am received from my deductor is not 100% considered as my income. In that case, there is some expenditure or also be required to be reduced. That is my business revenue, but that is not my income. In that case, I need to get my to get this type of certificate. Instead of providing 15G or 15H, I will apply in form number 13 to the income tax department, and they will provide me a lower TDS certificate or nil TDS certificate. On the basis of that certificate, my deductor will work accordingly. That is the basic difference. 15G, 15H is not applicable in some cases, and form number 13 is not applicable in some cases. In case of salary, form number 13 is not applicable. And in case of salary of the employee are under limit and they are not liable for any tax, but the employer deducted TDS. In that case, you are supposed to get the route is only one route is only possible. That is claim refund while filing your TDS return. $15G, 15 in some cases 15G will work, and in some cases form 13 will work. Say in my example, say I have brought forward losses. My current year income is more than 12 lakh. In that case, I'm not able to provide 15G or 15H. In that case, the only possible way is form number 13. Any other due date for TDS return? In last session, we already discussed for what this is a quarterly return. We need to furnish for TDS return next after the end of the quarter, next month, the last day of the next month. That is the due date. The only exception is that for March quarter, that means quarter number 4, the due date is 31st May. So I believe it is clear to all. Someone is asking if an individual has won some lottery, say rupees 1 lakh and TDS is 30,000. Mohammed Saif, this is your you are wrong. In case of lottery, you are not eligible to get the benefit of basic exemption limit. You are supposed to pay tax 30,000 plus cess. Even though your income does not exceed basic exemption limit, you are liable to pay tax. So You are not able to get the refund of Form 13 or 15G, 15H will not work in this case. Okay, so after completing this TDS part, now we are shifting to GST. In TDS part, we discussed in summarized way. I'm going to we will discuss a summary of the TDS part. First, we need to deduct TDS considering various provision of the income tax law. It is 192, 194, 194A, 193, 194H, etc., etc., which is covered in your intermediate study material. After deduction of TDS, we need to pay that money to the credit of the central government. How to make payment and when to make payment, when we are supposed to pay that money. Say the TDS was deducted in the month of April, we need to pay that money the next after the end of the month of April. We need to pay that money within next 7 days. That means by 7th May, we need to deposit that money to the credit of the central government. The only exception is that in the month of March, if I have deducted any TDS, that money I can deposit it to the credit of the central government by 30th April. After payment of TDS, we need to file TDS return on quarterly basis. The quarterly basis we have two type of TDS return, form number 26Q and form number 24Q. That is for resident person. For non-resident, we are required to furnish another TDS return, and for TCS, there is another return. The due date for filing TDS return after the end of the quarter, within 1 month, we are required to furnish TDS return. It may be in 24Q, it may be in 26Q, depending on the nature of TDS you have deducted. If it is from salary, then 24Q. If it is other than salary, then it is 26Q. Then the only exception is that for the last quarter, that the due date for filing TDS return, whether it is 24Q or it is 26Q, that is 31st May. After filing that return, we are required to generate TDS certificate. We are required to generate TDS certificate, and then that certificate we are required to provide to our deductee. In general, we are not providing TDS certificate to our deductee because whatever TDS are deducted by us and proper TDS return are furnished by us, the amount of deduction would reflect in the 26AS of the deductee. What is 26AS? When he will check his 26AS by logging into income tax portal, or whether he will look into AIS report, then this information would be automatically covered in that form number 26AS or AIS report. However, in case of salaried person, ideally we are required to provide a TDS certificate for quarter number 4. That why we need to provide that certificate? Because in form number 16, the detailed information of salary, the breakup of salary, the figure work would be there, which will be required to my employee for filing his income tax return. That's why form number 16 is a must to provide to our employee. Ideal rule is that we are required to provide TDS certificate to each and every deductee, but practically that thing happened in the market. Okay. And one more thing, while making payment of TDS, few things keep in your mind. We are required to pay TDS on the basis of section number. If I have deducted TDS under section 194H, under section 194J, we are required to pay in 2 different challan. Further, the number of challan will be increased depending on the nature of the deductee. If it is a corporate deductee or it is a non-corporate deductee, depending on that, we are required to pay our TDS in as many as challan. Okay, so after this, we are moving to GST. What is GST? I believe everyone have any idea? 15 GST. I'm logged out from this mechanism. Now comes to GST portal. Ideally, a regular GST registered person, how many TDS return? How many TDS returns? How many GST return he is supposed to file? Any idea? Okay, so one query from Sudhir Kumar. Any criteria for approval form number 13? You should establish that your tax liability would be low on lower or nil or at a lower side, so that TDS deduction would hamper your working or your business or something like that. You are required to establish that. How many GST return we are required to file for a regular registered person? How many TDS return he is supposed to file on monthly basis? There are two return he is supposed to file on monthly basis. Which one? On monthly basis, how many TDS GST return he is supposed to file? Two, GSTR1 and GSTR3B. What is the modus operandi of these returns? Any idea? GSTR9 is an annual return that is filed on annual basis. Monthly return. How many returns are there? Two returns, GSTR1 and GSTR3B. GSTR1, what is the due date for filing GSTR1? What is the we are talking about regular monthly filer. We are discussing about regular monthly filer. We are not right now discussing about composition taxpayer. We are not discussing about the regular GST registered person who have opted for quarterly return, that is QRMP scheme. We are not discussing about that part. Right now, we are discussing about regular person who is not opted for QRMP scheme. That means he is supposed to file his return, GST return on monthly basis. He is supposed to file two return on monthly basis, GSTR1 and GSTR3B. What GSTR2 is not relevant. GSTR2 is not supposed to be done. Only two return, GSTR1 and GSTR3B. What are the due date for these returns? Any idea? What are the due dates for this return? What are the due dates for that return? GSTR1. Ideally, that return are required to be filed by 11th of the next month. And then GSTR3B we are required to file by 20th of the next month. My screen is visible. My notepad is visible. I think so. Yes, it is. So first of all, GSTR1 is required to be filed, say for the month of December 2024. A person is supposed to file GSTR1 by 11th January 2025, and 3B, that is for GSTR1. And then GSTR3B he is supposed to file by 20th January 2025. He is supposed to file GSTR3B. Is it clear? Is it clear? Now, sir, we already know about this part. So what are the difference between these two returns? So what are the difference between GSTR1, GSTR3B? Ideally, someone is mentioned, Pawan has mentioned 10th of the succeeding month. Yes, you are correct. But nowadays, one extra days are given through a notification. That means we can file our GST return by 11th of the next month. Okay, so ideally in the GST law, 10th day is mentioned, but one extra day are provided by through a notification. So right now the due date is 11th of the next month. In the GSTR1, what are the modus operandi of the return? Try to understand. Theoretically, first we are going to discuss, and then we will move to GST portal. Suppose Mr. X in GSTR1, he is supposed to report his sales. In GSTR1, he is supposed to report his supply, his liability. How to report that thing is interesting. In GSTR1, which he is supposed to file by 11th of the succeeding month, 11th of the next month. In that return, what he is supposed to report? He is supposed to report the supply made by him during the last month and liability and GST liability on that supply. How to report? Suppose in the month of December 2024, Mr. X generated couple of invoices like this. Say invoice number 10, invoice number 11, invoice number 12, invoice 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So these many invoices are issued by Mr. X in the month of December 24. The 10th invoice was issued to Mr. A, whose GST number is say 19, this is the GST number, and the value of the supply is 5 lakh. On that supply, he has deducted the rate of GST is say 12%, and the amount of the GST, I'm taking it as a consolidated figure, it would be 60,000. Another invoice raised to Mr. B. He is a non-registered person. Amount of sale is 1 lakh. Rate of GST is 18%, and the amount of GST is 18,000. That is the consolidated. It may be IGST, it may be CGST plus SGST. I'm not going into right now that part. Again, to Mr. A, GST number is this one. Sale is 1 lakh. Rate of GST is 18%, so it is 18,000. Then Mr. D, Mr. X is located in West Bengal. Mr. D is located in Karnataka, and he is an unregistered person. The supply value is 50,000. Rate of GST is 18%, and amount of GST is say 9,000. Again, invoice number 14 was issued to Mr. E. Again, he is located in Karnataka. He is also an unregistered person. The value of supply is say only 10,000. Rate of GST is 5%. What would be the value? What would be the rate? What would be the amount of GST? I think it is 500. My maths is very poor. Again, invoice was issued to Mr. F. He is a registered person in Karnataka. This is his GST number. Value of supply is 50,000. Rate of GST is 18%, and this is value of the GST is 9,000. And similarly, few more are there. Mr. P is from West Bengal, unregistered person. Value of supply is 1 lakh. Rate of GST is 18%. So amount of GST is 18,000. Another one, Mr. W is there. He is also from West Bengal. He is unregistered person. Supply is 50,000 and rate of GST is say 12%. So amount of GST would be, I think, 6,000. These are the supply made by Mr. X, the registered dealer from West Bengal. These are the supply. How to put this information in GSTR1? In GSTR1, we know that we are required to provide the the detail of our supply, our tax liability. How to report that one? In case there are two types of transactions are there. If you notice, there are two types of transactions are there. Few of these are B2B transaction and few of these are B2C transaction. How to do identify which transaction are B2B and which transaction are B2C? Anyone? I'm mentioning. Can I say which transaction? Please reply which transaction are B2B transaction and which transaction are B2C? Anyone? Anyone? How could you know which transaction are B2B and which transaction are B2C transaction? Anyone? Please answer in, please post your answer in question and answer box. Dear student, your chat box is now open. I believe you can post your answer in the chat box also here. You can post your query in the chat box. Chat box. It is available. How many transactions are B2B and how many transactions are B2C? Anyone? Okay, it is not working. Can I say the transaction where the GST number of the buyer is available, that transaction is known as B2B, and where the person, the buyer is unregistered, that transaction is considered as B2C transaction. In our example, invoice number 10, this is a B2B transaction. Again, 11, that is unregistered person from West Bengal. This is B2C transaction. Again, transaction invoice number 12, it is Mr. A and GST number are there. It is a B2B transaction. It is B2C, and then again, invoice number 15 is a B2B transaction. Is it clear? And remaining transaction, that means invoice number 11, 13, 14, 11, 13, 14, 16 and 17 are B2C transaction. Am I clear? Is it clear? In GSTR1, all of the B2B transactions are required to be reported as a single line item. That means each and every information, each and every transaction, each and every invoice are to be reported separately. Each and every invoice are required to be reported separately. That means in GSTR1, all B2B transaction, that means invoice number 10, invoice number 12, and invoice number 15 are required to be reported as a separate line item. That means for each and every invoice, we are required to report this transaction as a separate line item. Regarding B2C transaction, we are supposed to report state-wise and rate-wise. So how many line item we are supposed to make for B2C transaction? This one is Mr. B, West Bengal. So we are required to report West Bengal 18% as a separate line item. Then here Mr. D, Karnataka 18%. Then we are required to report Karnataka 18% as a separate line item. Then Mr. E, Karnataka 5%. Again, a separate line item are required. Karnataka 5%. And then West Bengal 18% and West Bengal 50,000 12%. That means again West Bengal 12% is separately required to report, and this transaction, this line item are required to be merged with this one. That means in this line item, we will provide consolidated figure of the supply made by us in the state of West Bengal, where rate of tax is 18%. That means this supply, this transaction as well as this transaction are required to be merged and required to be provided as in a consolidated way. That means in B2C, we will mention the state of place of supply is West Bengal, rate of GST is 18% and value of supply is 2 lakh. Then we will mention in B2C, Karnataka, rate of GST 18%. The only transaction is 50,000 as a separate line item. Again, similarly for Karnataka 5%, similarly for West Bengal 50,000 12%. That means we are required to provide consolidated information in case of B2C transaction, depending on place of supply and rate of supply. Where these two things are same, we will sum up the numbers, we will sum up the value of the supply and provide the amount of the GST, amount of the tax. B2B transaction, we need to report separately in a single line item. That means each and every invoice are required to be reported as a separate line item. And in case of B2C, we are required to report consolidated information. However, the information are required to be separate line item are supposed to be used depending on state, that means place of supply and rate of the supply. Depending on that, we will consolidate our numbers and then we will apply, we will insert this information in the GST return. How it will be what I'm supposed to show right now. For that, we are need to visit GST portal, that is gst.gov.in. This is the common portal for GST. In this portal, we need to log in. That is the top right corner. There is a login button. We need to log in. I'm using user ID password. Insert CAPTCHA code, then login. These are the options available to me for filing GST return. It is a quarterly filer. One minute. We need monthly. Okay, consider that is a. I'm going to show you how to work it is. I'm going with this in this dashboard. We will click our file. If you miss that part, file return, then you can also use this service tab, return dashboard, services, return dashboard, services, return dashboard. Here we need to choose our financial year, say 24-25, quarter for which I am supposed to filing my return. Say it is fourth quarter, third quarter, considering that right now I am a quarterly filer. This SSC is a quarterly filer. For the month of the January, GSTR1 is not applicable, so it will not reflected in this mechanism. So I'm using as a, I'm showing you as a quarter 3. For quarter 3, say it is October, November, December. Say it is October. It is already filed. It is already filed, but for view purpose, you can see how to furnish information. Say I'm using this GSTR1. Need to click over here. This is the form of GSTR1. We need to provide our information in these tabs, in these tables. So in case of B2B transaction, we are required to add our invoices in this table number 4A, 4B, 6B, etc. That means the first table we are required to add our B2B transaction. How to add? We need to click over here. There are invoices are already added. One minute. I'm taking one example where the person is a monthly filer. One minute. Return dashboard. It is monthly filer, so January is available. Here it is GSTR1. Due date is 11th Feb. I need to file this one, prepare online. First, we need to use this table 4A, 4B, 6B, 6C, etc. That is B2B transaction. Need to click over here. Then we need to add record. We need to add GST number of the buyer, of the recipient. Say I'm providing GST number of the recipient. Say this is the GST number of the recipient, invoice number 10, say date of invoice, it is on say 10th 2025. Invoice value, it is 5 lakh. I am providing here 5 lakh 90,000 is the invoice value. That means considering GST, it is 5 lakh 90,000. State, since it is 19, it is starting from 19. That denotes the state code 19 denotes it is from West Bengal. The place of supply would automatically be place of West Bengal would be automatically there on the basis of this number GST number 19. So after that, we will provide the information in this matrix at what rate this amount is taxable. Say in this invoice, I have 5 lakh rupees supply, value of supply, which is subject to tax at the rate of 18%. So the system will automatically calculate the rate of the amount of the GST 5 lakh at the rate of 18%. That means if this is the intra-state supply, myself is located in West Bengal and my buyer is also located in West Bengal. So this is the intra-state supply. The amount of tax is bifurcated between CGST and SGST 45. You are not supposed to do anything. It will work automatically. After that, we will save this one. Then this information are stored in our portal. Similarly, if for another person, for another invoice, we need to add another invoice. Say in this, I'm going to add this one. This is a real-time site. I'm not supposed to save this one. Okay, for a couple of minutes, I'm going to add this one. Save. Then for another invoice, say invoice number, it is again to Mr. A, say invoice number 12. I'm making it invoice number 12. The date is say 12/01/2025. The amount of GST is 1,18,000, including GST is 1,18,000, and that too it 1,18,000, and that too at 18%. So I'm making it 1 lakh. In this way, we are required to add each and every invoices B2B transaction. We are required to report in this way. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear to all? Please. Now comes to how to report B2C transaction. For B2C transaction, there are two bifurcations are given. First, we are considering small buyer. That means where value of supply for each particular invoice does not exceed 1 lakh. In that case, we will use B2C others where value of supply to unregistered person exceeds 1 lakh. In that case, we will use this large invoice. B2C table number 5, B2C large invoice. Where individual's value of supply does not exceed 1 lakh, we will use B2C others. Considering the filing pattern would remain same, I'm sure to report that one. B2C others, we need to add record. Place of supply, we need to consolidate our, we are supposed to provide consolidate number depending on place of supply and rate of supply. Say my West Bengal place of supply, taxable value, it may be supplied made to Mr. C, Mr. Z, Mr. B, Mr. A, whatever be, but these persons are unregistered. That value, the transaction is B2C and place of supply is West Bengal. We will consolidate this number and we will provide a number as say it may be of one invoice, it may be of many invoices. We will consolidate number will be provided in this mechanism in this field. Say it is 2,50,000. Then we will choose rate of GST. Say it is 12%, 18%, whatever with the rate are there, we will choose, and CGST and SGST will be automatically calculated in the mechanism. Is it clear how to reflect? And then again, say for the same place of supply, we have another rate of supply that is 18%. Then we will make it a separate line item for that too. Is it clear how to insert B2B and B2C information in the GSTR1? One thing you should keep in mind, if individual value of the supply to unregistered person in a single invoice exceed rupees 1 lakh, we are required to report in another table. And for remaining petty supply, that means supply individual value of invoice does not exceed 1 lakh, we need to consolidate in that table which we are right now we are discussing. So in GSTR1, basically two information we are required to provide. Number one, B2B transaction, all of the transactions are required to be shown separately. For B2C transaction, one bifurcation is also required, that is invoice value does not exceed 1 lakh and invoice value exceed 1 lakh. Then we are required to provide the information in a consolidated way depending on two criteria, the place of supply and rate of supply. Wherever these are same, we will club it, we will provide the consolidated information in the respective table. Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay, after providing all this information, I'm not going to save any information. After providing this information, there are few more information we are required to be provided, like export invoice. Say I have done my SSE has supply export supply. In that case, we need to report that thing in another table. How to add that one? We need to add record. Say invoice number 17 is the export supply. The date of supply invoice date is say 22nd/01/2025. Port code. If it is a case of goods, then we are required to provide the code of the port through which we exported that goods. However, in case of supply of service, export of services, we are not supposed to provide the port code. That means the custom port code is required to be mentioned in case the supply is relating to goods. Shipping bill, again, it is required in case of supply of goods. That means when you are exporting anything, you through which port you have exported, that code is required to be mentioned, as well as shipping bill number are required to be mentioned. Then to say I am a supplier of service, so this information are not required to be provided. Total invoice value, say it is 1 lakh. Supply type is automatically considered as an interstate. We know that as per IGST law, as per IGST Act, export supply is considered as an interstate. Export and import supply is considered as an interstate transaction. And there are two options are there, with payment of tax or without payment of tax. Whether at the time of making this export, you have GST are required, you paid GST, or you are making this export without payment of GST. In case of zero rated supply, these exports are known as zero rated supply. If you paid the tax at the time of exporting, then in that case you are able to claim that money as a refund. If you did not pay any GST at the time of exporting, then you are not supposed, then you are required to opt without payment of tax. And in that case, obviously, you are not eligible for any refund. So this is the zero rated. So I am providing this value as a 1 lakh in this case here at in that rate 0% in the corresponding field of the 0%. I provided 1 lakh. The tax liability would be nil. In this way, we are required to report our export supply. In this way, we are required to report our export supply. Is it clear? I have mentioned, if it is one is asking what if sales to consumer outside state, that is interstate. If it is B2C transaction, we are required to mention in the table like this. Say I have supplied to Kerala consumer. That is not B2C, that is not B2B transaction. We need to select respective state and need to provide consolidate numbers. Say 10 number of invoices are made to Kerala customers. All of them are unregistered and the value is taxable at the rate of 18%. Consolidated sale value is say 50,000. We will require to provide this way, and the rate of tax we are need to select this way. And similarly, if I have consumer from Karnataka, we need to add as a separate line item. Is it clear? So there is still now there is we already discussed what if sales to consumer outside state. Port code are required in case you are exporting goods. That means in that case, we are supposed to use custom port for exporting that goods. The port, the code number of that port, it may be Vizag port, it may be Kandla port. That means there are so many port, custom ports are there in India. It may be Haldia port, etc. You are required, each and every port have a code number. You are required to provide that code. Without payment of tax is only based on LUT. Yes, sir. If you are making any export supply without making payment of tax, in that case, first of all, you are required to file a LUT, letter of undertaking. How to file LUT? 1 minute, I'm going to show you. That was in my radar. I'm going to show you how to file LUT. Services, user services, furnished letter of undertaking, LUT. It's a 1 minute job. You need to file this form. You need to fill this form and verify this one. That is considered as a LUT. How to file? LUT applied for financial year. Say I'm selecting this one for financial year 25-26. Need to, if in earlier year I have applied for LUT, I need to add a copy of that LUT as an attachment in this. Say in our case, I have filed an LUT for 2024-25. I need to add a copy of the PDF version of that LUT as an attachment for this filing. If it is not, then I don't need to add any attachment. Then we need to click over here. That is a promise with this is a undertaking with government, with President of India. Then we need to provide information of witness, that is name of the witness, his occupation and address. Similarly, we need to name of witness. This information are required to provide it, and place. Suppose it is Kolkata, place of filing LUT. It is my place is Kolkata. And then the person who is signing this form, who is supposed to verify this form, we need to take from this drop down menu and accordingly and provide the place of signing, and then sign and file with DSC or sign and file with electronic verification code. That means OTP based verification. Then it would be done as a filing of LUT. That's all you are required to do. If you want to export without payment of tax, then before making first transaction in the particular financial year of export, first transaction of export in the financial year, you are required to file this letter of undertaking. Then only you are eligible to export without payment of tax. This letter of undertaking are required to be furnished for each and every financial year before taking first export without payment of tax. Is it clear? This is the mechanism. Pratik, these options are given by the act, whether first they are taking tax and then they are getting, then you are eligible for refund. And another way is without payment of tax. Okay, I am coming to HSN code. Rian, we already discussed what's send goods to consumer outside India. If it is B2C transaction, we are required to provide in a consolidated manner. If it is a B2B separate line item, we are required to provide. Okay. Now again, I'm coming to GSTR1. After providing this information, there is another table 8A, 8B. If I have made interstate or intrastate supply of nil rated item, exempted or non-GST supply, then we are required to report this information in this table. Say I have, apart from taxable goods, I made supply of alcohol, that is a non-GST supply. We are required to mention that supply in this table, in this row, in this column. And if I made certain nil rated supply or exempted supply, then we are required to report in this column. And then it is bifurcated into intrastate supply to registered person relating to these goods, intrastate supply to unregistered person relating to these goods, interstate and registered, interstate, unregistered. After providing this information, it may happen your item, you are supplying two type of item, you are supplying two type of goods, or you are supplying two type of services, or any combination thereof. One is taxable and another one is exempted. In that case, taxable you are required to report in that tables, and exempted or nil rated you are required to report over here. Again, it is required credit way. Credit note and debit note. If it is issued to registered person, we are ready to use this one. If it is used issued to unregistered person, then we are supposed to use this table 9B, unregistered credit debit note. And for registered, what is credit note and debit note? What is credit note and debit note? What is credit note and debit note? Generally in GSTR1. Generally in GSTR1, suppose I made an invoice, I issue an invoice to Mr. A for rupees 1 lakh. However, after a couple of days or after a couple of months, I noticed that that invoice should be of 1,20,000. So I will issue a supplementary invoice for remaining 20,000. In that way, in that case, we will issue a debit note. On the other hand, that means my liability would be enhanced. My liability would be increased if I am issuing a debit note. On the other hand, I issued an invoice for rupees 1 lakh, and accordingly GST was calculated. And now it was noticed that actually that there is some mistake. It should be for only 75,000. In that case, my liability are required to be reduced. For that purpose, I need to issue a credit note to my customer for rupees 25,000 with GST. And then for that, if these are the cases, debit note or credit note are issued by me during this reporting period, I need to report in this table. If that credit note or debit note are issued to registered person, we will use this one. How to add? To provide the GST number of the recipient. It's more or less same. The only difference is that we are required to say, I'm mentioning, debit note or credit note number, say it is 1. The date is 01/01/2025. It is debit note or credit note. Say it is credit note. In case it is credit note, the value of the note, say it is 30,000. It is including GST, it is 30,000. Then we are required to report the amount in the respective corresponding field corresponding to the rate of GST. If it is debit note, then we will use as a debit note, and then again we are required to provide this information. If it is credit note, if this is a credit note, my liability would be reduced. If it is a debit note, my liability would be increased. Is it clear? And in case relating to unregistered person, in that case, we are required to use, we are not able to provide the GST number of my consumer, my customer. In that case, the consolidated figure we are required to provide. After inserting credit note, after providing information relating to debit note, credit note issued by you, that is tax liability on advance receipt. Generally, in case of supply of goods, you are getting any advance money, you are not supposed to pay any GST on it. Time of supply is not considered. However, in case of supply of services, we know that the time of supply is the actual supply, the date of issue of invoice or payment, whichever is earlier is considered as a time of supply. Suppose you issued an invoice in the month of Feb. However, you got that money in the month of January as an advance. You are liable to pay GST on it in the month of January. So in that case, we are required to report in this table. Then HSN wise, what is HSN number? What is HSN? If it is Humera is asking if I am selling only few items like 1 or 2 dresses per month, then still have to fill export, or can we fill in the end of the year? If you are a regular GST person, regular registered person, in that case, this is an export, you are supposed to file monthly basis. Unless and until you are under QRPM, if you are under QRMP scheme, then you are supposed to file quarterly basis. Whether it is one piece or even it is no sale, during the period, you are required to file a nil return. I will. Kishore is asking, can you please tell what is the procedure for registration of GST? Yes, we will discuss. Not today. In our next session, we will discuss that part. I believe there is no. Is there any offline utility for GST practice? Yes, we have. Yes, government provided that utility, but that is not exactly similar to that. That will be help to insert, to provide the numbers, to provide the information in this online version of the utility. How it will work, I will show you. Yes, sir. Bivas, you are very correct. In case of service industries, advance received and adjustment table are required. For supplier of goods, it is not required. Right now, supplier of goods, if you are getting any advance against supply of goods, you are not supposed to pay tax at the time of getting that advance. There is notification number 66 are there. Now comes to HSN. HSN is a product code. Ideally, who is supposed to provide HSN number? Raj is asking what is cancel party. We will discuss on that. We will. Please keep patience. I will discuss on all of these things. HSN code is a code. Generally, the concept of HSN was developed by our customs. In customs, we are using 8-digit numbers. However, GST are using 6-digit number. 6-digit HSN code are required to be mentioned in case if you are a registered person, you have a B2B supply, you are required to mention 6-digit HSN code if your supply total turnover exceed a certain limit. In case of B2C supply and you are a small taxpayer, in that case, it is not required to be provided. However, if your turnover, if your supply, if your value of supply during the year exceed 1.5 CR in either situation, whether it is a B2B or whether it is a B2C, you are required to mention 6-digit HSN code mandatorily on your invoice. In this case, you are required to provide HSN wise detail of the supply made by you. And ideally, the value, the aggregate value of HSN supply should tally with your invoice value. Say, suppose I sold, I'm a service provider, I provided this service. This is a SAC. In GST, theoretically, there is a difference between HSN and SAC. SAC, that means Service Accounting Code, and for goods, it is HSN. But for the purpose of filing GST return, Service Accounting Code or HSN are considered at par. 99, if your HSN code start with 99, that denotes it is a supply of services. Okay, whatever we supply of services that have SSC code starting with 99, it may be 9981, 82, all are considered as supply of services. And apart from 99, if your number starts with any other code, any other number, then that is considered as a HSN. That means you are supplying goods. Say I am supplier of services. Say I'm supplier of services. I'm making like this one. Then in case of services, unit of measurement is not required to be provided. That means unit of measurement, that means in case of goods, I'm supposed to provide quantity details. However, in case of supplier of services, I am not supposed to provide unit of measurement, which is not possible in case of supply of services. So it is disabled. Total quantity is disabled. Total taxable value. Again, it is rate wise. Again, it is required to be provided consolidated number with HSN code 9982. Say altogether during the period I have supplied for this HSN number value rupees 5 lakh. And the rate of tax for this is 18%. Out of this, few are interstate and few of the intrastate. We are required to bifurcate this number in this here. Say out of 5 lakh, 1 lakh supply was made in the course of interstate transaction and remaining was intrastate. So out of 5 lakh, 1 lakh is interstate. So 18,000 integrated tax would be applicable, and for remaining 4 lakh, CGST and SGST would be applicable. If cess is also applicable, then we are required to provide the value of the cess. What is this cess? Which type of cess they are asking? This is GST compensation cess. We know that GST compensation cess is applicable in case of certain hazardous goods and certain luxurious item to compensate the state for any losses due to GST. If they suffer any losses, central government will compensate them. For create a fund to compensate that for that losses. This GST compensation cess are levied on certain items, on certain hazardous goods and certain luxurious goods. We can say we are required to, if cess is applicable on this HSN, we are required to provide that number too. Say in this case, 4 lakh is my remaining 4 lakh into 9%. What would be the value? 9,436,000. In this way, we are required to provide each and every code separately. Each and every code of HSN, we are required to report in this way. So altogether, the aggregate number, aggregate sale value and tax should be matched with our reported sale through our invoice, advance, etc. This is required to be provided. And this is mandatory from January months onwards. It is compulsory to provide this information. Whether you are a supplier, you are a small supplier, or whether you are a big supplier, you are required to provide this information. Whether it is a B2B supplier, whether it is a B2C supplier, you are required to provide this information. Then I'm not going to save this one. After providing detail of HSN wise summary of outward supply, we are required to provide document issued by us. In the period, we have issued various documents. Say I have issued invoices for outward supply. I have some purchase on which I am supposed to pay as a reverse charge under reverse charge mechanism. I have revised my invoice, debit note, credit note, receipt note, etc., etc. Whatever documents we have issued during the period, we are required to report each and every series of the information, every series of the document. How could I report? Say, I have issued a document. How many invoices we have issued? We have issued 10 to 17. We are required to provide 10 from to 17. How many invoices are there? There are 8. Is there any invoice was cancelled? No. Then we need to save this one. That means if we have multiple series of invoices, then we need to add another series. Say I have another series called MSPL slash 003 MSPL slash 005. We have issued under this series, we have issued 3 invoices. In this way, sir, question arises whether I'm eligible to use multiple series of invoices. The answer is yes. However, the number should be consecutive. It is not like that. In MSPL series, I cannot use directly. That series should also start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is not like that. All of a sudden, I started a new series MSPL with invoice number 10. It is not possible. If I'm using multiple series, that should be in a consecutive number we can use. That is allowed. Similarly, we are required to provide debit note, credit note, receipt voucher, the number series we are required to provide. After that, we will click on save. I'm not going to save this one. Then supply made through ECO. What is e-commerce operator? E-commerce operator. We have different provision for e-commerce operator. What are the provision? In case e-commerce operator, sometime if it is say I sold goods through website. In that case, the website are supposed to, that means online platform. I sold goods through online platform. In that case, that website are supposed to collect TCS, and in that case, we are required to report in this. If liable to tax under section 9(5), that means like Ola, Uber, we learned that in some cases that radio operator are supposed to pay tax. In that case, we need to use this tab, liable to pay tax under section 9(5). If I sold through Amazon, etc., then I need to use this table. In this tab, liable to collect tax under section 52 TCS, we need to add record, and then accordingly we will add GST number of e-commerce operator. That means GST number of, say I sold through Amazon, we are required to provide the Amazon. Then net value of supply and rate, the amount of the taxes, we are required to report this one. And then we already discussed what is section 9(5). Then one more part are there, amendment. In earlier written, if I have some error, I notice some error, then I need to amend those record. I can use this amended sheet. The similarly, how to insert data into these sheets are more or less similar to our earlier discussion. So I'm not going to this part. After doing this, we will generate a summary. Use this button, generate summary. Then use this refresh. Then we will click proceed to file our summary. Here the summary would be generated. What the consolidated number would be there. If you want to check, you want to download, you can download in a PDF version. You can check with your accounts, etc. And then you are required to file statement. You need to click over here, file statement. Here you need to verify, need to select the authorized signatory and the mode of filing, whether it is with digital signature or it is with electronic verification code. After doing this, the written GSTR1 are considered as filed by you. I'm not going to file this one right now. OK, so I'm going to back. If suppose one person asked me during the period, I do not have any sale. I do not have any liability. it may be possible during the period January, during the month January, I did not supply any goods or any services. In that case, whether I'm supposed to file GSTR1 or not, the answer is yes. Even though there is no supply, even though you are not liable to pay any tax, you are supposed to file GSTR1 and 3B if you are under regular registered person. How to file nil return? You are not supposed to go through all this thing. Just click over here. Look at here, top right, top left, file nil GSTR1. You just click over here and then file statement. That's all. That's all. That's all. You can file, verify yourself, and then your return would be considered as filed. But in any circumstance, do not omit, do not consider that since my supply is nil, I'm not supposed to file any GST return for this particular period. No, the answer is no. You should file your GST return, whether it is a nil, whether it is with data. You are supposed to furnish your GST return. It is mandatory for all. If you are a registered person under regular scheme and you are not quarterly QRMP scheme. Is it clear to all? Anyone have any question? Please raise. Anyone have any question? Please raise. We have 10 minutes time. In next session, we will discuss about GSTR 3B. Then we will discuss about registration process, and then we will discuss few more information how to that few more information how we will generate information, how to check different functionalities in the GST portal. Rian, is it mandatory to mention HSN code while filing or it is optional? It is nowadays it is not optional, it is mandatory. Considering the provision of HSN when it is supposed to be provided, if then it is mandatory. That we struck advance adjustment export and its refund. Please explain the. We will discuss in next session. The first two digit 39 indicates that the chapter under HSN code. Yes, you are correct, Ruvi. It is correct. First it is chapter, then heading, then subheading. It is like that. But we are not supposed to learn all this part. Right now, we are supposed to discuss how to use these numbers. Each and every product have different HSN code. Mr. Raj, you are supposed to identify the HSN code of the goods or services. B2CL, yes, B2CL, L denotes large. If a person who is unregistered and you are making supply to that unregistered person in interstate transaction and the value of invoice is more than rupees 1 lakh, that thing is supposed to be mentioned separately. The purpose is that government want to know a person who is unregistered and he is buying in interstate transaction value more than rupees 1 lakh. Is it why he is unregistered? If this type of query they are trying to increase their database, they are trying to increase their tax base. So this type of information they are tracking. That's why they are asking it as a separate item. Required to collect an amount at the rate of that is I think TCS. Dhruvi, you are mentioning the rate of TCS. Bharti is asking, is there any application on which we can practice GST? No. The answer is no. This is a real-time site. That's why I'm not saving all this information, all this data. I'm helpless in this case. How upload data of utility to? I will show you in the next class. Rayan, don't worry. I will show. B2CL already discussed. Bharti, I'm sorry, I've already. Why you people repeating each and every comment? What is Nargya Vidya? I don't know. What is the due date for GSTR1? It is already discussed. It is if you are a regular GST person, registered person, then 11th of the succeeding month. If you want to know the due date, the best deal is like this. 1 minute, I'm going to show you. The best place for viewing what is the due date. Here it is the registered person. I log in into the system. Use this January. Search. Here it is. It is not ready to file. Here, ideally, you will get the date, the due date like this. For 3B, the due date is 20th Feb 2024. Like this, it would be there. Status ready to file, it would be there. I can show you how it will be there. Here it is. The due date is 11th Feb 2025 in case of this SSC. However, if I one other place where you can search it, go to gst.gov.in. Without login in the home page, you will get the upcoming due dates. Monthly, quarterly, other due dates. For GSTR 3B monthly return, it is Feb 20. GSTR 1, it is Feb 11th. That is the way you can check the due dates. Fixed asset sale to an unregistered party shall there is need to be do in case of B2C transaction. We are not supposed to do e-invoicing. E-invoicing are required only where B2B transaction are happened. In case of GSTR1 return, many parties giving wrong HSN code. But when we work on GST portal, this HSN code is showing invalid. That is the practical difficulty. You are required to rectify all this information from your clients. GST is easy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What is IFF? In next session, we will discuss what is IFF. Invoice furnishing facility. We will discuss on this in next. This is the we can say this is the child of GSTR1. In next class, we will discuss about this one. Ledger balance we can discuss in our next session. That are 3 type of register and ledger are maintained in the GST portal: electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger, and electronic liability register. What are the importance? How they look like? We will discuss in next session. Rintu, this is the not the correct platform to ask this question. I hope it is clear to all. There is no question, no query are there. So, in short, today we will discuss about GST. In GST, we are supposed to furnish 2 monthly return if I am a regular registered person and I am not under QRMP scheme, quarterly return monthly payment. I am not under that scheme. In that case, I'm supposed to file my return of GST on monthly basis. We need to file 2 return. Number 1 is GSTR1. That should be filed by 11th of the succeeding month. And then we are supposed to file GSTR 3B, and that should be by 20th of the succeeding month. How to file GSTR1? Basically, in GSTR1, we are providing our supplies made during the particular period, and our liability. We are not going to pay any tax before filing GSTR1. We are not supposed to claim any ITC in the GSTR1. It is purely and absolutely for supplies made by you. That means your liability part are covered in the GSTR1. In GSTR1, focus should be considered in case if you have made B2B supply, then invoice wise reporting are required to be done. whether it is in the state of West Bengal, whether it is in the same state, whether it is interstate or whether it is intrastate. You are required to mention, you are required to provide information, invoice-wise reporting are required to be done. In case B2C transactions are there, large and small segregation are required to be done. What is the large? If particular invoice value does not exceed 1 lakh, that will be considered as a small, and the particular invoice, unregistered invoice, is more than rupees 1 lakh, then it is considered as a large. Earlier it was 2.5 lakh, now it is 1 lakh. In case of B2C transaction, we are required to report consolidated information. Again, the information are required to be segregated on the basis of two criteria. Number one, place of supply, and number two, rate of tax. If these two information are matched, subject to large and small, these informations are required to be provided in a consolidated way. Then we provided some credit note, debit note information. If we have, then we are required to report, else we are not supposed to mention, we are not supposed to fill that one. Then more importantly, we are required to provide HSN wise detail, and then invoice documents issued by us, whatever be documents issued during that period. It may be invoice, it may be refund voucher, it may be receipt voucher, it may be debit note, credit note. We are supposed to provide the detail of those documents issued during the period by us in the respective table, and then we will generate and then verification would be done, and that's and after providing either DSC or your OTP, that return would be considered as a submitted, is considered as a filed. I think this is the summary of today's session. I hope it is clear to all. Thank you. Anyone have? GSTR 2A, 2B, in brief, I can say that GSTR 2A is not a static report and 2B is a static report. For example, right now I used GST number in GSTR 1, 19 AAICM, while showing you how to fill B2B transaction. If I save that one, if I click on the save that invoice in the GSTR 1 of this particular SSE, even though I did not file my return of GSTR 1 was not filed, that information would be reflected in GSTR 2A of the that registered person, 19 AAICM, and 2B are generated once GST returns are furnished, are filed, are submitted. That means GSTR 2A is not a static report, that is a dynamic report, and 2B is somehow a static report. We will discuss in next session too. Of the sales invoice not filled in the month of January, so we can submit the sales. If you forget, then obviously you do not have any choice. Thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed the session. If you enjoy, please comment. Please provide, please mention whether you enjoy or not. Thank you. Good night.